On the 8th of February, year 10, the Owen Company completed their project to add 10,000 tonnes of shipping capacity to their shipyard. So they were asked to add another 10,000 tonnes. It was considered at this point to investigate what it would take to drop the size of the Wayfarer class freighter to make it fit under the 30,000 tonne construction limit. A reduction in range was mentioned, but at the end of the day it was only 50 tonnes that was being gained by doing so. Bigger savings would need to be found. Dropping cargo handling systems was deemed to be unoptimal as well, which kind of left the only option to be one of the engines. And indeed it was decided that an engine would be dropped and a smaller, slower Wayfarer class used. Some additional fuel storage was added, increasing the range to 44 billion kilometers. Certainly a large and slow ship. The Wayfarer class, the first version of the Wayfarer class, was now sorted. So all that was left to do was wait until the shipyard was ready to take it and build it. Isabel Cooper's sensor research was going along at a really good pace. It was at this stage that additional projects were discussed that she could take on next. It was decided that an improved planetary sensor would be extremely handy. So would increasing the fire control and the max tracking time bonus. All useful technologies that Isabel could potentially work on in the upcoming years. The industry projects were going along smoothly, with the mines nearly half completed. Another shipyard was queued up for the industry to create. This shipyard would build small shuttles that would move teams and scientists around the solar system. On the 8th of October, year 10, the research into the construction rate was improved. And Sophie Barber moved on to the mining production. Despite having been in charge for 10 years, the council still lacked skilled people in the areas of power and propulsion and construction and production. On the 8th of November, year 10, the construction of the mines was completed, bringing the total number of mines on Earth up to 600. The industry moved on to creating 10 more research labs to create a faster research. It was decided that after that was completed, An additional 4 maths drivers would be created, followed by a few more mines. Except these mines would be the automated type. So 100 was originally ordered. But that was rounded down to 50 after the council realised exactly how expensive they would be and how much of a strain it would put on their limited uranium supply. On the 8th of December, year 10, the Owen Company announced that they had a shipyard capable of handling 30,000 ton vessels. Instantly, a Wayfarer was ordered. With an estimated completion date of the 23rd of October, year 11, it would be just under a year before the first Wayfarer would be ready. However, the timing of this wasn't completely bad, as the Prince Consort was 45% of the way done, however still a year and a half away, aiming to be completed on the 18th of March, year 12. On the 8th of February, year 11, some research labs started to come online. And as they come online, the council decided that they would assign them to various people. The first one was assigned to Isabel Cooper to speed up the research into the planetary tensile strength. With a 40% bonus in sensors and fire control, Isabel was a certified genius when it came to improving man's technology in this area, and deciding that potentially the most value lied in assigning more labs to Isabel. She was given 13, with another 7 yet to come. On the 8th of November, year 11, the very first Wayfarer was handed over to acceptance and trials to begin shakedown with the fleet's engineers. The engineers gave the craft a clean bill of health and assigned it for ready for open service. The Wayfarer was placed into a newly organised freighter task group that would control the movement of freight within the solar system. was decided that the freighter task group would load infrastructure at Earth for moving to Mars and unloading infrastructure. It was given some special orders to ensure that it never ran out of fuel. And so the Freight Task Group began moving infrastructure between Earth and Mars. It would take a little bit of time to shift it all over. However, the fuel economy offered by the Wayfarer class would be excellent. It was on the 13th of December that the first specialised person in construction and production, Madison Miles, graduated from the academy, ready to begin research and in catching the council up and the human race up in a lot of different areas that had so far been neglected due to the lack of a proper professional in the area. It was decided that Madison would first work upon the mining production, seeking to improve the efficiency of the mining sector, before moving on to the research rate to hopefully create efficiencies within the research sector, before finally moving on and working on a thorium harvester. It was theorized that potentially you could have a ship in orbit of a planet that had thorium, and they would slowly collect that thorium and turn it into fuel. And it was on the 18th of January, year 12, that the Hale Container Limited Company launched their first freighters. Having three freighters, a small, a large, and a huge. The Hale Company had announced their intention to become a player in space. It was decided that additional research labs would be given to Madison Miles to improve her research rate in the construction and production area. The shifting of the infrastructure was going along smoothly. There was only 140 left, nearly or over a quarter of the way through. Mars showing enough infrastructure to support 250,000 people. On the 18th of March, year 12, the Prince Consort was handed over to the fleet, moved into acceptance and trials. The fleet engineers checking the ship over fully, as it would be carrying large amounts of settlers to a new world, it was decided that the ship needed to pass the most rigorous of tests. Passing those tests, though, the Prince Consort was handed over into the colonization task group to begin moving colonists between Earth and Mars. Earth's large and burgeoning wealth and trade natural economy would provide the majority of the infrastructure for Mars. The Council was quite canny in this regard, knowing that the civilian sector would supply approximately 2,000 infrastructure without having to invest any determined resources, seeing that things were fairly close to being at maximum capacity. The colonization task group was asked to just return back to Earth and refuel. The favourable position of Mars was making the transition of the infrastructure quite quick. The freight task group was able to jump backwards and forth quite quickly between the two planets, shifting large amounts of infrastructure on every trip. With the civilian freighters online as well, we would soon see some trade between the two colonies. The first people on Mars, the first Martians, would soon start asking for infrastructure from the home world, and it would be the civilians that would supply that. Indeed, it was an exciting time, as this was the first foothold on another planet. And on the 30th of August, Year 12, the final research lab was put into service and given to Madison Miles to improve her research rate. Into the research rate